Hey guys, Happy New Year. Welcome back to kentcarmedia. If, like Rob's car, over the Christmas period, your carpet was sodden when you came to drive it on your Boxing Day drive, we're going to show you where the most common leaks are and how to fix them. So, without further ado, roll the intro and let's go! But first, a message from this week's sponsor, kentcarmedia. Make sure you subscribe to us.
So when I did my Sparco seats, I realised that the floor on my passenger side was quite damp. So I wanted to dry it out and hope for the best. Thought maybe I didn't put the window up when I was washing the car or something. Very naive of me. So I came out just before Christmas and I noticed that the floor was really wet at the front. So down here was absolutely soaked on top. Now, if it's wet on top, there can be a lot of water underneath. So what I've done is I removed a lot of the trims, as you can see, side panel trim here, and I lifted the carpet up, and underneath here, no word of a lie, there must have been an inch of water all the way to the front. So quite concerning, especially on the passenger side, because the ECU is in the footwell. So obviously if it gets wet down there,
it's game over.
Game over. And obviously I've just got a new, well, it's only a year-old ME442, which is like 900 quid, so would have been a very sad Christmas. So yeah, so what I did is I lifted it up and dried it out, and now, well, there's still a little bit of water in here, mainly just coming off the carpet, because you've got all this sound deadening, which is like a sponge, because it's still wet, and now I'm just having to leave the thing dry out. Now, where can the water be coming from? Okay, so we've got some key drainage areas that we can look at. Firstly, you obviously have the rear drains, which are behind the seatbelt tower. You won't be able to see them here. I'll insert clip now of it, hopefully. But yeah, they're down here, and that runs down to the bottom behind the sill. Now, those are the common drains when you look at clean the drain rails with like a trumpet brush. There'll be loads of videos on it. Pretty common. Well, so we want to make sure they're clear, which these were in this case. The other place water can come from is the rain rail around the back of the roof. So what happens when water hits the back of the roof, it runs down into this channel. That's why it tends to get very dirty. You can see mine is absolutely minging, all the moss off my roof from home. It runs into this rail, and that funnels the water to those rear drains. And then there's a collection point there, a bit like Argos, and then it is directed towards those rear drains. Now, what in my case, which was a bit wild in my opinion, is what was happening is the water was running into here, and then actually, instead of going into the drain, was finding its way into the carpet. So what that was, is there was a roll of adhesive tape, which obviously had been in there a while, and the hole was obviously filling up. But then eventually the hole in the middle of the tape got clogged with all the dirt, which was causing the actual sort of collection area to overflow into the car. Because I checked the drains and they were clear. I pulled a brush all the way through. So what's happening basically was the water was coming here, it was pooling up down this area here, and you could hear it running into the car, but you couldn't see it. After a lot of after a lot of searching, what basically was happening was the water was overflowing here because the route to the drain was blocked. It was flowing into the rear sill, running along one of these cables, and then actually coming out of this, where this sort of plastic is, and running into the car down here. So it was only really in heavy rain that I was having a problem, but once the water was in, it was in, right? There's no way for it to go other than steam up. And the car sort of had its own ecosystem, right? Because the water was condensing on the roof, and then it was like sort of raining back into the car, which was causing me a lot of confusion. But that was what I had to do to fix mine. Just found some adhesive tape, insert picture, pretty crazy, and that sorted it. Now, there are some other places we need to check, which I did throughout this process. So on each sill, and I will grab the camera from Ollie because I'm going to have to lay on the floor.
Please, sir.
Sort of see down here, the sort of the rain collection sort of area is that plastic sort of down there. So mine was overflowing with the top of that into the car. Now the sills actually have, on each side you have 4 drains. Okay, and what they are is, if you look underneath the car, you will find these little sort of, they look a bit like pinch welds, but they're like a little bump in the sill. Each one of these, you should be able to get a cable tie up or something like that. And they are actually a drain for the sill. So you have 1, 2 on the rear, and then on the front, you also have 2 more at the front. So you can wangle a cable tie up those to see if they're filled. Now they are for condensation really, they're not a main drain of the car. You shouldn't actually in theory have any water in your sill. But in this case, if the water hadn't gone into the car, it would have been going into the sill. And if these were blocked, it could then get back into the car from there. So the reason this rear drain gets blocked normally is because all the dirt, which you can see on your roof, gets put into the rain rail, and then with the water it carries it through to the collection area, and then it will just clog up the top hole. You can also have the bottom hole at the bottom can be clogged. But what I'd recommend is getting like Ollie refers to it as a trumpet brush.
It is a trumpet brush.
And you wangle it down there. Actually, I can actually see the drain hole there. It's that hole right down there. And just push the drain, push the thing all the way through, because you don't want to push it back up from the bottom, because there is a sort of supposedly like a non-return flap, and if you push something up from the bottom to the top, you can reverse that, and then water won't be able to flow down it. So now we understand why, in my sort of scenario, why my car was leaking. Hopefully that will give you some inspiration to hopefully fix yours. Now let's go over some of the other sort of key leak areas that I found through my vigorous search of the forums. So you can watch it here, live. Not live, but pre-recorded on the U-Bubbles. Another place where water can typically get in is around this area. So you actually have sort of a collection point up here from the top roof seal. Then there is a hole just in here, which comes out just there, and which, when the door is shut, would drain into here. Now these rubbers are hollow, so in theory they could be blocked. Obviously you don't want to damage them, but you could check maybe with a cable tie or something down there to see if it's got anything in it. Now this, if you do get water in here, where it actually comes out is all the way down here. You won't see it from there. You'll have to come around here. Oh, give me the garden hose camera.
Did you say give me the garden hose?
No. Oh, it is a good tool for this though. So the water actually will come out of there. You can sort of see some evidence of this, of that sort of dirt. And you can see as well, this is obviously without the sort of kick panel on. The water from here is meant to run out, but it could actually run into the sill, so you have clips in here. And if water did run from there into here, then it would run into the sill and then come out those other drains we've just shown you. Obviously, if those drains are blocked, the water will build up in the sill, and then it can come into the cabin through various holes on the inside, and make your carpet nice and wet. Another place you can get some leaks. Now, these are probably going to be minor, but water still could come into the cabin from here. And we saw this on his Mark 1, is he used to get water dripping from this corner. Is the seal on the top of the window. So you see, look, you can push your finger in. Hello. So you might find if the window's too low down, you could get some water ingress that way, which means you'd then have to adjust the top position of the window. Now that is accessible underneath the door card. If you remove the door card, you have sort of 2 bolts at the top here somewhere, which is the end stops, and you can adjust them to give you a little bit more height on the seal up here. Obviously, as well, the rubbers could be perished, leaving gaps. So it's a good thing just to check those. I have seen some people say you need to lubricate them, but I haven't, so yes.
So in my case of the leaking roof on my Mark 1, it used to come in here at the front of the window. When I went round corners, it would start dripping in. What mine was, is in the roof latch on the Mark 1s. I don't know if it's the same on the Mark 2.
It is.
But you can adjust how tight the roof is. And my roof just wasn't tight enough, it just needed tightening up. So since I did that, it never leaked again.
Yeah, so I mean, you can adjust the latches. If you open them, you can adjust how far this is away from the rest of the latch by pushing out the middle clip and then twisting the sort of nut in the middle, and that will tighten the latch.
Thank you.
You know, we've mentioned the rain rail on the roof. Now, over time, they can become brittle, more so on Mark 1s than Mark 2s, I believe, but I assume the same could happen to a Mark 2. They become brittle, they crack, and then you get water actually leaking through onto inside the cabin from the actual rail itself. Now, the best way to figure out that, and you can probably need 2 people, grab yourself a friend. If you haven't got a friend, you're fucked. But it's easier if you don't have a seat in the car, but you can climb in. You want to remove this carpet with those clips. 1, 2, they're all the way around. And then essentially what you're going to do is get someone to have the hose on the car whilst you're inside and just check the rain rail for any leaks coming through. If that is leaking, unfortunately you're going to have to remove the roof. It's not something I've had to do, so I can't really advise you on that, sadly. But you can buy the rain rails online. They're just a little bit expensive for what they are. You see, my roof has gone a little bit mouldy. TDO4 turbocharged. If you want to see how to do a full turbo conversion on your MX5, we have a full 5-part series, or that is all cut into a extra long 1.5 hour video if you so wish.
Go watch it.
You should watch it. Now, you can get some water coming supposedly from the front of the car, and what you're going to want to do is check the front scuttle panel. Now, most MX5s, they don't have this whole nice metal piece. It's all open, and then you'll have your little plastic square here. Underneath that, if you get big leaves build up, the drain supposedly doesn't work down into the front arch. So it's worth checking that. It's a bit annoying to get off because you need to remove this with trim. So you have to loosen all those. You get these clips out. You can see I've absolutely battered one there. It's not gone back. And then there's a few screws under there. Pour some water in and see if it pours out. It'll come out down here somewhere. Yes, that's another area I checked. Apparently that can somehow get into the footwell as well. Now, if you've got a wet boot,
You probably got a wet sock as well.
it could be coming from these areas. So you could take those off, maybe dab a silicone on there or something. But you could get your hand up in here and see if it's wet. The water could be going through to the front cabin still, because on a Mark II, the boot isn't separate to the rest of the car, unlike on a Mark I where it is. Now, if the boot floor is wet, key places to look are obviously the boot seal itself, and then really is the seals on the lights. A Mark II, you have 2 disc filters. On a Mark I, you have a really big gasket. So you're probably more likely to see leaks on a Mark I than on a Mark II on this, I would have thought. So this is the part number for the gaskets on the Mark II lights. I think you've got 2 on each one. You see this little disc goes around the bolt. I can't see them failing too often, to be honest. It just might be where you've changed the lights, they might not be there anymore, sort of thing. So it's worth checking on those. But yeah, you can buy these from MX5 Parts. They're pretty cheap. Right, well, I think I've covered everything that I can think of for the drains on this car. Now, if you think I've missed anything, put it in the comments, let everyone know, because I didn't find a great deal of videos when I was desperately searching for videos about you know, my car's flooded, save me, please.
Don't be a leak gatekeeper.
Don't be a leak gatekeeper, yeah. Too many gatekeepers in the car biz, you know? Open source information is what it's all about. So yeah, let us know if you've had any other scenarios where your leaks were, where they were coming from. Helps everyone out, doesn't it? Because, you know, it took me a little while to figure it out. It could be something wild like me, tape blocking your car, which is a bit crazy, but you know, these things happen. I haven't had any adhesive tape in this car for at least 3 years, so that's probably how long it's been going on. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you don't subscribe, please drop us a subscription. It doesn't cost you anything, really helps us out. And the full playlist is available on our channel for this whole car. So if you like MX5 things, we've also got a Mini now. We're going to be doing some stuff we've got a Mini. We're also going to be doing some stuff on, which is Ollie's new track car build. So if you're interested in that series as well, make sure you drop us a like, subscribe, things. Yes, thank you, God bless.